Please be seated. Good evening, Cougars. Okay, let's try one more time. We need your spirit up. Good evening, Cougars. I'm Andrew Xu. I'm the president of the College of Charleston. It's my distinct pleasure to welcome you to the College of Charleston's commencement for the class of 2020. This is truly a graduation ceremony like no others in the college's storied history. At the College of Charleston, we pride ourselves on tradition, but we also pride ourselves on being flexible and adaptable. This ceremony, like much of this year, is going to be different. It's actually going to be different from the ones that happened earlier this morning and this afternoon. We're changing this in the moment, just like you will throughout of your life. Please remain standing, and will those of you in the audience and those on stage please stand for our national anthem. In an abundance of caution, we ask that you do not take off your masks or sing along.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was beautiful. Please be seated. Graduates, you are an uncommon class for an uncommon time. What you have faced these past years as students gives you a preview of what is to come in the future. Times are changing more quickly than ever, and you are showing yourselves capable of changing with them. At the College of Charleston, our liberal arts curriculum shapes all of our majors and academic disciplines, providing you a wide range of knowledge that will make you adaptable, flexible, and creative. But most important, your exposure to different ideas, philosophies, and perspectives will make you a lifelong student, someone always willing to grow and evolve. That is what the world needs now more than ever. We need you to see possibilities where none may have existed before. We need you to be agents of change. The first part of our institution's motto, Sapientia ipsa libertas, captures perfectly the spirit of what you need to understand. That is, wisdom itself is liberty. Wisdom is not knowing just facts and figures. It's the ability to apply that knowledge in positive ways, ways that solve problems and move things forward. It's knowledge in action. Wisdom is something that takes time and is hard-earned and hard-won. And you are now well on your way on that lifelong path. With your degree in hand, and you show that you can do hard things. You can tackle assignments and accomplish great tasks. You didn't give up even when it would have been much easier to do so. Your resilience sets you apart from other generations of students. I encourage you to draw on this experience for the rest of your life to remind yourself that you can push through anything. Yes, you can do hard things, and you can and you will do it again and again and again. As I look at this uncommon class of the College of Charleston's graduates, I am excited for you and for your futures. You have a long and open road in front of you to make your life what you want it to be. I can't wait to see where your journeys take you and to celebrate all of your accomplishments as College of Charleston ambassadors and champions. Congratulations again, class of 2020. It is now my honor to introduce Dr. Bernard E. Powers as our graduation speaker. To say that he is a College of Charleston institution is a true understatement. Dr. Powers is a scholar of the highest caliber, one whose remarkable research, writings, and understanding of history have done much to transform and shape our shared understanding of Black contributions in Charleston and throughout the region. A professor emeritus of history, Dr. Powers today serves as the founding director of the college's Center for the Study of Slavery in Charleston. And he also is the interim CEO of the Charleston's International African American Museum, currently under construction on the Cooper River. For his entire career at the College of Charleston, Dr. Powers has been a true force on campus. And through his teaching and dedication to better understanding our shared history and culture, he has changed the lives of generations of College of Charleston students. Before I turn the lectern over to Dr. Powers, I would like to recognize his wife, Lorraine Powers. Lorraine, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. With that, Dr. Powers, the stage is yours.
Thank you, President Hsu, for the honor today and for your generous introduction. And good afternoon, College of Charleston class of 2020. I applaud you on your special day. It's a special day for me also because I remember that my maternal grandfather was only able to attend school in Alabama to the 4th grade. And I am in the first generation of my family to graduate from college. But this occasion also reminds me of how education has shaped my life. So in graduate school, I started a research project on 19th century Charleston. And I lived here in 1976 and fell in love with the landscape, the city, its history, and its people. I soon concluded that I would eventually retire here. Well, as it turns out, I arrived a little bit early, and now I have worked at the College of Charleston for almost 30 years. But let me get into the heart of what I want to say to you today. And that is, as recipients of a liberal arts education, you have a powerful tool. Now, beyond your skill sets, I want you to think about your education in these three ways. Firstly, you are each a national resource and a fount from which our very democracy springs. Remember the words Thomas Jefferson wrote in 1816, quoting him now, "If a nation expects to be ignorant and free in a state of civilization, it expects what never was and never will be," unquote. Education enables thoughtful, effective pursuit of civic virtue, by which the nation's founding fathers meant what they called the common good of the society. And given where we are today, at the confluence of four major converging crises: economic, pandemic, racial, and climate change, we indeed do need a heavy dose of civic virtue today. Secondly, Booker T. Washington, the former slave turned educator who founded today's Tuskegee University, would say that education was the key to the future. It was an investment made today that would pay dividends on tomorrow. And that's exactly right. There is something magical about education because it enables us to become something other than what we are right now. It enables us to evolve. And thirdly, just on the career front, a LinkedIn survey found that Generation Z members, young people born after 1996, are 3 times more likely to change jobs than baby boomers. And 80% of those surveyed said that they would consider a total change in industry and job function. So for many of you, professional mobility and flexibility are your hallmark. Your evolution will occur on many fronts, including your life goals and values. And I want to give you some advice drawn from historical figures that I hope that you will find helpful. And first, let me talk about Eleanor Roosevelt and the idea of paradigm shift. When Franklin Roosevelt and Eleanor entered the White House in 1933, the country was mired in the Great Depression, and she radically transformed the role of First Lady from that of socialite in chief to one that was deeply engaged, promoting the president's program of economic revitalization and social reform known as the New Deal. But Eleanor had her own social justice agenda also. Although born an aristocrat, she championed the causes of the downtrodden and the voiceless. She warned against Americans' materialistic culture, urging them to rise above selfish interests and to take responsibility for each other. Eleanor repeatedly denounced both racial and gender discrimination. She supported workers' rights, and her efforts won concrete gains for these groups. Eleanor's platform grew even larger through the syndicated newspaper column that she would publish for 27 years, through the 30 books that she wrote, and also through the approximately 1,400 speeches that she gave in the course of her public service career. Mrs. Roosevelt's life of public service was devoted to bringing groups of people together, to surmount the artificial barriers that separated them. To do so, she had to create a new paradigm which distinguished herself as an unprecedented First Lady who was certainly admired but also reviled. And secondly, let me talk about the idea I'm calling the long reach of Mark Twain's good deed. Now, in 1885, the year that Mark Twain published Huckleberry Finn, he delivered a speech at Yale University, and there he met Warner T. McGuinn, one of Yale's earliest black law students. Mr. McGuinn was a good student, but he had to work multiple jobs in order to pay tuition, which took away from his studies. Twain liked this fellow quite a bit and decided to pay his last year's tuition, which enabled him to study unimpeded. When McGuinn graduated, he received a prestigious oratorical award, and he became a successful lawyer in Baltimore. In 1933, a young, newly minted lawyer joined McGuinn's firm, and the elder man became his mentor. That young lawyer was Thurgood Marshall, who achieved a distinguished career in civil rights and became the first African American appointed to the United States Supreme Court in 1967. So remember, your good deeds can reverberate far, even beyond your lifetime. And finally, the idea of George Washington's uncertain way forward. After General George Washington led his new nation to independence, he resigned his military commission for the repose of his home at Mount Vernon. But within several years, he was beset by calls for him to become the country's first president. But Washington, already an elder statesman, was reluctant for myriad reasons. The country's constitution was new and it was untested. All of the laws and procedures of governance had to be created. It was a huge responsibility, and there would be controversy and perhaps even public censure. Washington posed the difficult choice this way. It was between domestic enjoyment on the one hand and on the other what he called entering an unexplored field, enveloped on every side with clouds and darkness. Well, we know the choice that he made. And he did so even though he was anxious. But he said, though anxious, still I am not without hopes. And those hopes sustained him and the infant nation. And so today, as we stand at the threshold of this commencement of a new chapter in your lives, as you prepare to shape the world, think of how your decisions will impact the lives of others. Remember the good that you do can have long-term, unforeseen consequences. And finally, greatness is not automatic. Confidence sometimes fades. Doubts plague even the most highly accomplished men and women. But when you have doubts, and you certainly will have them, remember Washington and also Eleanor Roosevelt. And Eleanor would say that you must do the things that you think you cannot do. Now, I tell you that you are prepared to do those things, and the College of Charleston has provided what you need. Congratulations to you, the class of 2020, and I wish you Godspeed. Thank you.
It is now truly my honor to introduce our next speaker, graduating student Catherine Abigail Klein. Abby is the class of 2020 recipient of the Alexander Chambliss Connolly Award. This award is presented to the student of the graduating class who has made the most unselfish contribution to the student body and to the College of Charleston. Congratulations, Abby.
Thank you, President Hsu. When school ended in May, I felt like I had peaked at college. Perhaps some of you can relate. Thank you. I felt like I would never live up to my accolades or to who everyone thought I would be. So I made a list of words of encouragement and pieces of advice given to me by professors, mentors, colleagues, and fellow graduates. If these people believed in me, perhaps I could begin to believe in myself. I remember one email from someone who believed in me more than I ever did. That person said to me, "I would not be surprised in the least if you go on to accomplish great things, but I'm certain you'll accomplish good things." I use good here not as a stand-in for average or mediocre, but meaning that which is right. Alas, great and good are not always synonymous. Fellow graduates, if we strive to do great things, we will constantly be striving. We will never rest because there will always be greater acts to do, greater feats to accomplish. Honestly, there is so much greatness around us that it often seems overbearing to think that we could add a drop to the bucket. But if we aim to do good, to be good, there will always be more room in the bucket. There will always be an act of kindness, a movement of compassion, a word of encouragement, and a posture of selflessness that is needed in the world, especially today. Sure, we can aim to do great things, but my hope is that we would first aim to do good things and to do them often. I'll end my speech with how that wise friend ended his email. The world certainly needs both, the good and the great, but the good is in shorter supply. So until our paths cross again, go forth and do good. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. Members of the class of 2020. Next, we'll have the RTM Baccalaureate degree. The AB degree will be awarded. At the College of Charleston, the AB degree with a major in classics requires significant coursework in both ancient Greek and Latin, while the other AB degrees majors requires significant coursework in ancient Greek or Latin. The College of Charleston has awarded this degree for more than 2 centuries. That grand tradition continues today. Will the following graduates please stand if they are present? Kathleen Elizabeth Stevenson, a double major in anthropology and psychology. Evans Kathleen Hollingsworth, a major in communications. And Abigail Page Calvert, a major in history. I ask those on stage to remain seated. However, it is tradition that the audience stand when this degree is awarded. Would the graduates and others in Cistern Yard please rise? Curatoribus auctoritatem tribientibus os ilvenis in humanitoribus litteris praeclera eruditos ad gratum artium baccalaureatus admissos esse Confucius sum. Congratulations. Please be seated.
I am Provost Suzanne Austin, and it is my pleasure to announce our William Aiken Fellows. We are pleased to recognize our graduating class of the Aiken Fellows Society. These students are the ones bearing medals hanging from gold and maroon ribbons. Aiken Fellows were all members of our Honors College and recruited to the College of Charleston based on superior academic performance, leadership potential, and a commitment to community engagement. As Aiken Fellows, they have participated in a range of activities aimed at their development as scholars and professionals in their fields of choice. All 27 Aiken Fellows are graduating with Latin honors. 16 are graduating summa cum laude. 4 are graduating with a 4.0 grade point average and are recipients of the John Lewis Gervais Jr. Award. 2 are College of Charleston Colonial Scholars, the most generous scholarship offered at the college. 1 is a recipient of this year's Bishop Robert Smith Award. 1 is a recipient of the Alexander Chambliss Connolly Award, and 1 is a recipient of the Ted Stern Cup. 1 received the Phi Kappa Phi Award of Merit. 17 had international experiences, and all were involved in substantive research in their fields. 1 student received a Fulbright English Teaching Assistant Program grant. 2 are Goldwater Scholars, and 1 is a Rhodes Scholarship finalist. Beth Meyer Bernstein, Interim Dean of the Honors College, joins me in celebrating the accomplishments of these graduates. Would the William Aiken Fellows present at this ceremony please stand? Congratulations. You may be seated. At this evening's ceremony, we have 5 students who have earned a perfect 4.0 grade point average. If you are present, stand as I call your name. Lindsay M. Scott, a major in English. Hillary Ann Clark, a major in history. Jesse L. Keefe III, a major in political science. Emma Elizabeth Schultz, a major in psychology. And Hannah Elizabeth Shannon, a major in psychology. Congratulations to all of you. You may be seated.
Now, joining us in acknowledging the bachelor's degrees will be Trustee Welch, Provost Austin, Vice President Caudell, and Dean Gibbs Knotts. Professor Tony Varallo from the Department of English and Professor Sandy Slater from the Department of History will announce the names and majors of our graduates.
For the bachelor's degree in anthropology,
Kira Blanton, Bailey Bischoff Borison, cum laude. Charlotte L. Byrne, cum laude. Rachel Monique Crutchfield, also meets the requirements for archaeology. Nathaniel W. Dobbs, summa cum laude. Campbell Darby. Aaron V. Duke. Benjamin C. Ethier. Lainey G. Galizia. Karen Allison Honnell, also meets the requirements for archaeology. Morgan Lynn Harmon, cum laude. Ella M. James, cum laude. Charslyn Renee Jameson. Jacob Nemitz, also meets the requirements for archaeology. Robert Justin Osborne. Kayla S. Rose. Shay Strout. Kazuya Takahara. Caroline McCamey Warner, summa cum laude.
for the bachelor's degree in communication, Emily K. Antonino.
Gray M. Arno. Ariella Rosa Bachman, cum laude. Monica Marie Becerra. Hannah Berkeley, Adina Bezlagic, Mason W. Bland, Lauren Bonk, Terry J. Booth, Emma C. Bowman, Mary Margaret Boyd, magna cum laude, also meets the requirements for Spanish. Jonathan Boynes, Matthew Brady, Aria K. Brantley, James C. Brauckley, magna cum laude, Elizabeth Faye Brooks, Carolyn F. Brown, Margaret I. Brown, Caroline Sylvia Buck, cum laude, also meets the requirements for Spanish. Christina Sophia Bird, Christina Burnley, cum laude, Robert Carey, Kyriaki Karmi, cum laude, Hannah E. Chateauneuf, Andrew Xavier Clark, Taryn Ashley Clemens, Olivia Coleman, Nicholas Guern Converse, Sydney P. Cooper, Gabriella Sismore, also meets the requirements for French and Francophile studies. Christian Dini, Juliana Della Pello, Anna Damas, magna cum laude, also meets the requirements for French and Francophone studies. Braylon A. Diamond, McCloy Dean Dixon, Hannah Dobbs, Megan Kendall Doherty, Cornelius John Dunn, Sarah Elizabeth Edwards, Peyton A. Eisnagel, Emily Kathleen Eld, cum laude, Emma Elizabeth Fields, Carlin Fisher, Rebecca Marie Forehand, Cheryl Lee General, also meets the requirements for Spanish. Jacob A. Glass, Anna Madison Goldstein, Victoria Granda, Sarah Elizabeth Gray, Caroline E. Green, Kaylin Gregory, Sophie Claire Guggenheim, Zoe Hager, Jordan S. Halfin, Lauren Hannon. Hannah N. Harvey. Justine Jonquil Hecker. Robert Herbert, Jr. Victoria Taylor Hernandez also meets the requirements for arts management. Madison L. Hirschfield. Mary Hirsch, cum laude. Julia Hoffman. Sarah Ann Holcomb. Evans Kathleen Hollingsworth, cum laude. Dorian J. Holmes. Hannah Hudson. Jayla M. Hutchison. Abigail E. Hutchinson. Chelsea S. Jacobs. Ivy James. Margaret Emmeline Jones. Savannah Donnie Jones. Savannah N. King. Patrick Kircher. Allison Elizabeth Kaiser. Catherine A. Klein, summa cum laude, also meets the requirements for international studies. Morgan James Krongold. Summers Colette Laffey. Caroline E. Land also meets the requirements for political science. Ashlyn Marie Lariche, magna cum laude. Christy Lee. Jacqueline Leibrock. Grayson D. Lentz. Cameron Lett. Brittany Levy. Jenna R. Leaf. Stephanie Logar. Alina Roma Macedo. Caitlin Amanda McKinnon. Thomas Austin McNamara. Kevin Meyer. Stephanie Mailhut. Gabrielle Lynn Marchesi. Spencer Marsh. Angel G. Martinez. Tolly M. McElhaney. Caroline Hayes McCulley. Brandon R. McGee. Caroline Adele McNamara. Danielle McNeely. Zoe Paige Micha. Ariana Elizabeth Miser, magna cum laude. Joseph C. Mitchell. Justin Moffitt. Megan Lee Moore. Anderson G. Murphy, magna cum laude, also meets the requirements for political science. Megan N. Murphy. Amanda Joelle Napierlala, cum laude. Chloe Elizabeth Newell. Nicholas Austin Nothagill. Jonathan Noyes, Connolly O'Brien, Mary O'Brien, Sierra V. Ogden, Amaya S. Oliver, cum laude, William Elliott Page, Annabelle Ramsey Pape, Caroline Jameson Pape, Morgan E. Parks, Jackson Davis Pate, Chase Pavlik, Emily Willa Pugh, Sarah Prendergast, cum laude, Madeline Resnick, Mariana Restrepo Lopez, Charlie Rhett Robinette, Menard Robinson Jr., Melanie Oliveira Roca, Dominic Joseph Romano, Emma Cole Rosenblum, Caroline Diane Ross, Brady Philip Rosa, Ryan Elizabeth Rothkopf, magna cum laude, also meets the requirements for English. Daniel Joseph Ruggiero, Catherine Ryan, Elias Sirocco, Saliba, cum laude, Grace Samuelson, summa cum laude, Mary Elizabeth Sanders, Wesley Catherine Sanders, Valerie Shoke, Owen Francis Scully, Madison Sherman, Aaliyah Catherine Smalls, Samantha R. Smiley, Ellery Smith, Hannah Sofer, Samantha M. Summers, also meets the requirements for English. Amanda Spiewak, Marjorie Cargill Spruance, cum laude, Catherine N. Stagliano, cum laude, Matthew Barker Stevenson, Madison Caitlin Stieglitz, Jackson Ray Strider, cum laude, also meets the requirements for Spanish. Elijah K. Stuhlenbarger, Anderson Claire Swee, cum laude, Chelsea Lee Slam, Whitley Lauren Taylor, Sarah Thompson, Margaret Elizabeth Vickery, magna cum laude, also meets the requirements for sociology. Sally G. Walkup, cum laude, also meets the requirements for theater. Margaret Wallace, Margaret T. Walsh. Sophie Taylor Warnick. Foley Sophia Wasmuth. Kylie A. Wehunt. Sarah E. Wilbur. Mara A. Wiley, cum laude. Malia M. Wilkinson. Matthew X. Woodhull, cum laude, also meets the requirements for English. Samantha Ashley Woods. Julia Wolf. Megan Wright. Jalen T. Zalaka.
For the bachelor's degree in English.
Erica Dawn Appleton. Judith Arundel. Elizabeth Ann Ballin. Ava Louise Brockfeld. Annabelle Stewart Carrington, magna cum laude. Jocelyn Faith Cataldo, magna cum laude. Ivy Chase, cum laude. Daniel Jacob Colella, cum laude. Elizabeth Ray Cross. Cameron Rich Cummings. Brandy Marissa Del Rio. Rose Dubard. Etta Elliott. Molly M. Epps. Jenny R. Garman. Noah Maddox Goodman, cum laude. Emma W. Grabowski. Marin D. Grant, cum laude, also meets the requirements for Spanish. Caroline Virginia Greenblatt, cum laude. Claire Grulick. Mydrick Jawan Hall. Ashley Ann Harvey. Jennifer Hawkins. Delaney S. Henson. Abigail Hillerick, cum laude. Heather Marie Holmes. Benjamin Eichelberger Hutchinson. Logan A. Hyatt also meets the requirements for psychology. Benjamin S. Cantor also meets the requirements for Jewish studies. Eliana Katz also meets the requirements for anthropology. John M. Kramer. Caitlin B. Leggett, magna cum laude. Christian Kane Lofton. Rachel Hannah Lolar. Ayana River Lawless. Emma Luby, magna cum laude, also meets the requirements for secondary education cognate. Allison B. Mader, summa cum laude. Mara C. McCloy. Alexandra E. Oberemt, cum laude. Ariana Maria Patsaros. Scout Peterson, cum laude. Owen Savannah Phillips. John S. Poole, magna cum laude, also meets the requirements for secondary education cognate. Kiesia Pride, cum laude. Christopher Mason Proctor. Grace Ransford also meets the requirements for secondary education cognate. Avery Richardson also meets the requirements for international studies. Diana Lynn Rios also meets the requirements for secondary education cognate. Christian C. Robinson. Nali Alexis Mali Koula Noah Okai Kakairo. Harriet Lowndes Rogers. Lindsay M. Scott, top honors. William Rice Simmons III. Cassidy Renee Summer. Abby L. Stahl also meets the requirements for theater. Joseph Peter Sinnott. Madeline Wallace. Ayla J. White, magna cum laude. Elizabeth Peckham Whitworth. Cody Lee Williams.
For the bachelor's degree in history.
Isabel Hope Adams. Adrian Amaya, magna cum laude. Samantha Birdsall. Colleen Grace Brown. Shannon Bullen, cum laude. Elizabeth W. Berger, magna cum laude. Joshua Bush also meets the requirements for secondary education cognate. John Alexander Cafaro. Abigail Page Calvert, summa cum laude. Kelsey Peyton Carter also meets the requirements for secondary education cognate. Hillary Ann Clark, top honors. Ciara Clemens. Jennifer S. Collins also meets the requirements for secondary education cognate. Eric J. Cronell also meets the requirements for political science. Riley James Dean. Cameron Becker Drayton, magna cum laude. Danielle O. Dudas also meets the requirements for international studies. William J. Dukes, Jr. Morgan Epley, magna cum laude, also meets requirements for political science and German. Gavin Lee Garner. William Klein Gray. Garen Tyler Henson. Nicholas A. Hicks. Robert Heel. Michael Lawrence Hiller. Duncan S. Cackley. John Philip Cassabaum III. Elias Paul Longenecker. Eric M. Mathis. Seamus McCormack. Anne E. Maneri, cum laude, also meets the requirements for political science. Cody Lee Moore. Joshua Moore. Olivia Grace Newman. Zachary L. Pickler. Michelle Rasick, cum laude. Bailey Nicole Rogers. Mark Rohrbacher. Maya DeCameron Simmons. Michael S. Simmons, Jr. Charles Flynn Simpson. George W. Smith. Anna Soul, magna cum laude. Frederick Mitchell Stevens. Mackenzie Marie Turner, magna cum laude, also meets requirements for historic preservation and community planning. Terry A. Washington. Trevor Wilson. Carter Elizabeth Wright. Alexis Young.
For the bachelor's degree in philosophy,
Ty Andres. Nicholas Ivy, magna cum laude, also meets requirements for anthropology. Yelizaveta Laronova, cum laude. Tyler Hutchinson Roach. Noah Zachary Vion. Treese Washington.
For the bachelor's degree in political science, Samuel Land Ballinger. Christian Bendillo. Devin Nicole Bergen. Gunnar Bishop. Robert Bonds, cum laude. Jackson Booley. Drake John Philip Bowers. Hamilton Merrick Brower II. Richard Walden Brown. Morgan L. Bryant Cook, cum laude. Jeffrey A. Butcher, summa cum laude. Zaylee Christina Butler. Katya Kaleka, summa cum laude, also meets the requirements for international studies. Allegra Campbell. Cherry C. Campbell Billy. Olivia Erin Casey. Brian Cass also meets the requirements for economics. Jack Thomas Cassidy. Farah Chowdhury. Douglas Jordan Clark. Cassie Cook. Richard Cromer II. Jada Cruz, cum laude. Harrington Gautam Curry, cum laude. Sean M. Dalton, magna cum laude. Kate Leona Daly. Tatiana Darien. Andrew M. Denning, cum laude. Carisha P. Desai. Zainab M. Dosaji, magna cum laude. Oliver Deich. Ross Lewis Erler. Jordan T. Isopa. Grant Falk, magna cum laude. Natalie Grace Fallon. George S. Frankel. Sean Michael Freeland. Edward Wells Galuzzo. Natalie Marie Garcia. Jacqueline Gerhardt, cum laude. Brian Gelb. Madeline Margaret Giffen. Emily Marie Goodrich. Tayshara U. Green. Molly Hampton, cum laude. Samuel Keene Hutchison. Bailey R. Inabnet. Aaliyah Maddie Johnson. Jesse L. Keefe III, top honors. Owen P. Kelly. Julia M. Kennedy. Michaela L. Lesso, magna cum laude. Brandis Page Lynn. Robert Malik. Molly Susanna Martinez also meets the requirements for history. Patera M. McCarroll. Macy E. McCaskill. Jameson T. McHugh also meets the requirements for history. Nikayla Tylisha McKinney, cum laude. Trevin Dale McCoy. William E. McClendon. Brian McNulty. William P. Mice, summa cum laude. Naomi M. Mendez Sosa. Bailey Mullins. Elliot Amory Ness Deverona. Megan O'Neill also meets the requirements for international studies. Jacob F. Palmer. Olivia Papapetros. William Edwin Burwell Parker. Xavier D. Patterson. Christopher John Pavlinek, summa cum laude. Amelia Michelle Perdue, cum laude. Catherine Kirk Pettit. Forrest W. Powell. Madeline Alexandra Rakes. Clayton Todd Reeves. Vanity Reed Dieterville. Maxim Rice. Morgan Amelia Rice, cum laude. Jared Caleb Robinson. Andrew Charles Rollison. Olivia Rothstein, summa cum laude, also meets the requirements for historic preservation and community planning. Emily E. Ryback, cum laude. Benjamin Joseph Sackler, cum laude. Anna Maria E. Sanford. Olivia C. Sawyer. Claudia P. Sheary. Lucy Shamel also meets the requirements for French and Francophone studies. Chandler Jane Sella. Elizabeth Sheldon, cum laude. Nicole Simon, summa cum laude, also meets the requirements for international studies. Kylie Scarp, cum laude. Reagan Irene Smith. Cameron Nicolette Snell, cum laude. Dorian J. Soleimani also meets the requirements for German. Sarah Sorochi, cum laude. David Price Sullivan. Coleman A. Theodore. Spencer Thomas, cum laude. Thomasina T. Thomas. James Maxwell Trammell. Jane B. Trewick. Sophia Troya Zambrano, magna cum laude. Grayson Bell Truitt. Andrew Tyler Ulickney. Sophia Jacqueline Valulis. Kiera Faith Williams. Yuki Yamasaki, magna cum laude. Samantha R. Zila, summa cum laude, also meets the requirements for international studies. Catherine Zerwoski, cum laude. For the bachelor's degree in psychology, Kelly N. Ackerley, cum laude. Jacob J. Adams, cum laude. Jared Christopher Allen. Anna Maria Artigues. Madeline Sutton Bailey. Kayla Sadeka Baldwin. Hannah Barnett, magna cum laude. Samantha D. Barwick. Caroline Batson, magna cum laude. Narissa Natel Faith Benyard. Madeline Helene Burke, summa cum laude. Haley Bowen. Ashley A. Brockington. Catherine V. Burnett. Terrence Camelon. Sophia Marie Canavan. Mark Capitosto. Rebecca Kathleen Carell. Sarah Cherup. Michael Terry Chester, magna cum laude. Lauren Cianciolo. Chelsea Blake Klein. Charlotte Cooper, magna cum laude. Charlotte Dior Courtwright. Elizabeth Michaela Cox. Mayali Rosa Craig. Bethany A. Croat also meets the requirements for sociology. Phoebe Noel Dandino. Savannah E. Dargan. Amelia J. Davenport, cum laude, also meets the requirements for political science. Hannah Davis. Daniela Delgado Vasquez. Catherine Hope DeWald. Alexis Orali DiPierno. Sarah Stewart Drayman, cum laude. Benjamin R. Dupree. Caitlin Lee Eldred. Jessica Elizabeth Irvin. Deja Ford. Caitlin Louise Fusco. Brevin Galloway. Brooke Garwood. Samantha Gates, cum laude. Tara Gaudette. Mary English Gesser. Melanie R. Grijalva. Madison M. Gunter, cum laude. Graham L. Gutierrez. Adriana Renee Hall also meets requirements for theater. Madison Shea Harden, cum laude. Samantha A. Harper. Rachel M. Harder, cum laude, also meets requirements for biology. Jacob Scott Hartwell. Jessica Hatcher. Sarah E. Helmick. Megan Elizabeth Henrich, summa cum laude. Sarah Julia White Hicks. Valerie Marie Holzclaw. Katie Melissa Jimenez Cortez, cum laude, also meets the requirements for Latin American and Caribbean studies. Molly Frances Kebe. Bailey E. Keck. Kayla Jasmine Kelly. Sarah N. Kingsley. Hunter Michael Kirkpatrick. Marlena M. Kolasinska also meets the requirements for physics. Anne McMillan Lamuralla. Kristen Adair Latimer, cum laude. McRae Brand Lawrence, summa cum laude. Ashley Lane, summa cum laude. Marleya Eliosha LaParis Legree. Nicole Latola, cum laude. Alfred Manalo Lipata. Haley Francis Loveson. Alexandria N. Lowry. Ella Madden. Samantha Dana Mayetta, cum laude. Victoria Evelyn Marshall. Caroline Southers Mart. Rebecca Mayfield, cum laude. Caitlin M. McCarthy. Molly E. McCombs. Connor Elizabeth McElhenney. Honorata McIntyre, cum laude. Brian D. McKinney. Dana McLaughlin. Kayla L. McLaurin. Elizabeth C. McVitie. Kaylin A. Merritt. William S. Minter IV, cum laude. Evelyn Riley Montgomery. Alexa Deanna Moog. Gabrielle E. Mullins, magna cum laude. Michaela Delaney Mulready. Tegan Dorothy Peoples. Emily N. Pelletier. Monica Taylor Pereyo. Rachel Marie Pickert, cum laude. Nicole J. Pinelli. Amy C. Poe. Courtney Sable Powell. Nina Quiroga. Taylor Alexis Ramsue. Kayla Bianca Reese. Madison E. Reese. Leanne Nicole Relaford. Chloe Jean Rivera. Autumn Drew Robinson. Dana Robinson. Casey Roche, magna cum laude. Danielle P. Scavina. Catherine Olivia Schassler. Emma Elizabeth Schultz, top honors. Kaylin Ann Seidling, summa cum laude. Hannah Elizabeth Shannon, top honors. Emily Taylor Shoemaker. Leighton Hewitt Simmons. Jillian Olivia Snyder. Caitlin A. Snyder. Natalie W. Sprinkle, cum laude. Caitlin Elizabeth Stevens, also meets the requirements for anthropology. Jessie Marie Tomasello. Meredith Noel Tunney. Gabrielle Alicia Turco. Emily Van Wagner. Taylor Veith, cum laude. Datayesha I. Washington also meets the requirements for biology. Ty Wiedemann. Alexandra Whitaker. Madeline Bean White. Chilbrainy Melissa Ann Wingrove. Margaret Elizabeth Worth. Cleo Annalise Womack, cum laude. Todd Dillon Wright. Summer Young, magna cum laude. David Nathaniel Zimmerman. Kate Zuckerman. For the bachelor's degree in religious studies, Alexandra Hart Bowen also meets requirements for biology. Grace M. Henderson. Keinde Ojaidaran, cum laude. David B. Perrin. Catherine Eileen Shuey. For the bachelor's degree in sociology, Cassidy Elena Assad. Electra J. Barnes. Brittany K. Bennett. Mary Catherine Blanton. Colby Lee Burke. Joel G. Clausen. Logan Thomas Curry. Kayla Louise Demari. Dakota Tyler Demaro. Arlene Baines Dorsey. Rebecca Edmondson, cum laude. Alexis Emmanuel. Brianna Alicia Evans. Yaritza C. Felix. Catherine McGonigal Fleming, cum laude. Madeline H. Fletcher, cum laude. Lauren Mackenzie Floyd. Ryan Charles Fodera. Elizabeth Jane Frost. Carrie Michelle Gordon. Christopher Michael Graham, Jr. Isaac Lewis Greenbaum. William Harrison Hawkins, Sr. Caitlin Angelica Hayes. John Tucker Heffron. Matthew Evan Hershon. Punita Humphreys, cum laude. Victoria A. Huskey. Cameron Nelson Jones. Taylor R. Jones. Alexander Kessler, Abby Christine Lipscomb, Emily Ann Medwood, Mallory Michael, Anna Alea Moy, Catherine Allie Perkins, Martina Nicole Prelo, Lexi Raccanelli, cum laude, Grant Lucas Riller, Bryn Shamer, Osinachi Bright Smart, William Soule, Paris Stream Dow, summa cum laude, also meets the requirements for studio art. Adelina Maria Tedrick, Charlotte Thomas, Tamara C. Tichenal, Carly Kent Tucker, Kylie L. Voris, Callie Sanders Waring, magna cum laude, Tyshawn Witherspoon, Hannah E. Youngblood, Davia J. Zargari, William P. Zevgalis III. For the bachelor's degree in urban studies, Nicholas Antonucci, Holden James Armour, Brian P. Baker, Joshua Thompson Hoffman, James Connolly Howard. For the bachelor's degree in women's and gender studies, Hadley Elizabeth Chance also meets requirements for religious studies. Tanner T. Crunell, magna cum laude, also meets the requirements for English. Cameron A. Lacey also meets the requirements for psychology. Viviana Mercedes Moore. Camilla G. Moyer, magna cum laude, also meets the requirements for psychology. Caroline Palsy, cum laude. Callista Poulin, cum laude. Jordan Ross. Taylor Elizabeth Veal. Reagan Whiteside, summa cum laude, also meets the requirements for English. Claire K. Zlotnicki, magna cum laude, also meets the requirements for psychology.
Upon the successful completion of all degree requirements and with the recommendation of the faculty, by the authority of the state of South Carolina granted to the Board of Trustees of the College of Charleston and committed to me, I hereby acknowledge your receipt of the degree of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science as earned, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereto appertaining. Congratulations. members of the class of 2020, on behalf of the entire College of Charleston community, congratulations to you on this very special day. I want to thank you for sticking with us through the rain, and I hope someday when you look back, you will remember fondly of this rainy evening. I hope that you will also look back on your time here at the College of Charleston as enjoyable, thought-provoking, and life-changing. You are leaving the College of Charleston a stronger place than you found it, and I thank you for your many, many contributions to this university. Graduates, I send you forth little weather with best wishes as you begin the many adventures that lie ahead of you. Wherever you go in the world and whatever you seek to do in service to our country and our society, may you always remember your roots here at the College of Charleston. And may you always remember what it means to be a Cougar. So once again, congratulations, class of 2020.
Thank you.